this stuff and to shed voters, to shed support, Caddy K, as we embark here on this election in the fall. And maybe there's a reason he doesn't want to talk about the economy. It's because there was another bad jobs number yesterday, or that, as Steve Ratner showed us in his charts yesterday, just the data that they're putting out, the numbers, the things he's claiming about how strong the economy simply aren't true statistically, factually, and also that most people in the country are not feeling that way about the economy.
Yeah, and the truth is the president can't do very much about the economy. I mean, he can bring in a new Fed chair who could bring down interest rates to try and make things cheaper to some extent for Americans. But there isn't a whole lot that he can do. And he's still running because he still has this fundamental belief, this confusing tariff policy, which is one of the things that has made life increasingly expensive for Americans. So the things he is wedded to, he's refusing to let go, like tariffs and putting up a fortress wall around America in terms of trade, and the other things he can't do very much about. So I think that's why he won't talk about the economy. And then he tries to make a joke out of affordability, but it's a joke that doesn't land because people are still feeling that there are high prices. Again and again, the president goes back to his original playbook. Let's go back to 2020. Let's go back to immigration, because these are tactics that seem to have worked for him before in terms of owning the libs. But even we had the numbers earlier this week, right, guys? Even on immigration, you look at the numbers, 51% say America is less safe because of the immigration policies, and only 22% of Americans, that's smaller than we think his MAGA base is, think that the killing of Alex Pretty is justified. So the policies he thinks are working for him are turning people away. The policies he would like to change, there's not much he can do about.
Well, yeah, and you know, it's one thing for Americans to oppose Donald Trump's immigration policies, and that makes sense from what they're seeing in the streets of Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's quite another. I was really struck by the poll. Did Donald Trump's immigration policies make you safer or less safe? And the majority of Americans say it makes Americans less safe. That's just an absolute stunning, almost shocking turnaround from over the past year. It does. I mean, obviously, you look at the killings, you look at the brutality that Donald Trump's Kristi Noem's forces are engaging in, the secret police. Get the masks off, please. Get the masks off, please.
The weaponry.
Get the masks off and tell them to stop brandishing their guns whenever they get out of their cars. But Americans feel less safe about that when, in fact, the issue that matters is the issue he mugs, which is affordability. And just a couple of quick facts. First of all, jobless numbers came out yesterday. Private surveys showing jobless numbers are spiking, skyrocketing. Secondly, you look at grocery prices. The last measurement we have is from December. Grocery prices jumped up. We're more inflationary in the month of December than any time since 2022. 2022. And so that's what Americans want to talk about, not renaming crappy airports and lousy railway stations, or racist tweets,
reinventing
or
history.
Greenland, or, you know, Venezuela, or all this other stuff, insults at prayer breakfast that are meant to bring people together. That's I would say you're only speaking to your base. But now it looks like in a lot of these polls, you're not even speaking to your 35%. That 35% is becoming 25, 22%. More and more Americans really shocked by what they're seeing.
Also, this morning, people in Minnesota say aggressive ICE operations are still happening, despite a withdrawal of hundreds of federal officers. We're going to go through that new reporting that, for many, nothing has changed. And Hillary Clinton calls out House Oversight Chair James Comer after agreeing to give public testimony on the panel's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to look at what this could mean in the political game of chicken as President Trump continues to come to the Clintons' defense.
Let's say that again. Let's say that again.
Yeah.
President Clinton is being defended by Donald Trump. For a good reason. What I've been saying, you know, what comes around goes around. The precedents Republicans are setting right now, all the horrid precedents they're setting right now, will be picked up, unfortunately, by Democrats. If Democrats get elected, I hope not. But here, Donald Trump knows if they can do this to Bill Clinton, they can do this to Donald Trump. He wants no part of that.
Yeah, and Donald Trump actually says it's time to put the Epstein files behind us.
It's not happening, and it's not happening because now the investigations, because what we found actually, I've got to say, far more